Oh,
Funny.
have any of you had experiences with beings or ships?
I have. Over time.
Yeah.
Mimi has too.
Maybe has too. Yeah.
Not me. I just saw 3 UFOs.
I had an incredible situation that I 100% believe I astral traveled to. I mean, I know I was there. But when Marie's talking about the police tape and the whole thing and trying to get around and go incognito, I went miles and miles beyond the caution tape or the do not pass and all the lights, and went way far back into a field. And there were beings that I could only describe as plasma looking. You know, they definitely had a form, but they were nothing like this one. They had hands or arms, but I don't know anything about their fingers or their toes and their facial structure. And they were very masculine in nature. And I stood there in silence, and we read each other's energy. And then they allowed me to move forward to the ship. And at the ship, there was a very feminine energy being. And she and I just, we just read one another. There were not even telepathic words. No word was present. It was just an understanding, a feeling, and an acceptance. And you would want to call it love, peace, presence. It was all of that, but it was wordless. And then I woke up in my bed and I was crying like I just saw my mama leave me and I wanted her back.
Wow. So you think that was a lucid dream and you were actually in a different dimension, actually
It was here.
experiencing it?
It was here.
Here.
But how,
But in
I don't know
between.
what layer of here. It was definitely an earth field and earth caution tape and earth, you know, emergency vehicles.
Right.
But as far as, I didn't see me at all. I never looked down. I didn't notice if my meat suit was with me. I don't know that. Yeah, after things have happened so many times, you can't deny it anymore. You don't need proof. You just know that you're experiencing beyond this.
You know, Greer, a typical question is, abduction runs in family. What about your mother and father, your grandparents, your children? Do you feel you're all abductees? Do you feel that you're an abductee?
I have no idea if I'm an abductee. I have definitely had several instances where the paralysis came actually in 2002. I had an insane experience of paralysis where about a dozen beings wearing very fancy old-timey, like the flapper clothes, eyes wide shut kind of thing, appeared, and I was stuck. I don't even know if I could move my eyes, but my peripheral was grasping. And then something wearing my boyfriend, it was not him because I knew he was at home and he was naked, and I felt the weight of it get on my bed, and I broke free from the paralysis, and they were all shuffling around, and they were never beyond about 60% opaque. But they disappeared. They were very rattled that I snapped out of it. And it took 10 years for me to have the epiphany that they were going to totally create a hybrid with me. And I didn't want to. And talking about family history, my family actually kicked me out of the house because I refused to vote for the Bushes. They turned me out on Thanksgiving because they were friends with them, and they're people who can sign their name and buy anything, and they have had contact. They have instances, and they are part of people that we refer to as elite. My dad didn't talk about it, but he always kept me on the front lawn with his with a telescope. But my mother always told me we were blue bloods, to keep it to myself. And on her deathbed, she told me to look into the cabal, and I had never heard that term before. And she had many times said she had been abducted and used in government think tanks, and I had no idea if it was real or not.
Well, we got to get you on a whole separate show there, Greer. Are you free to talk about these things on video?
Yeah, I don't care.
Very good. So blue-blooded Bushes, yeah, probably a high family, maybe believed to have even reptilian
Yeah. And I always called my grandmother the lizard lady, but we're not Bushes. They were just in a similar circle.
Yeah, circle friends with the Bushes, you're saying blue-blooded. Wow. That would make sense that there would be abduction within those communities. If like David Icke says, Queen Elizabeth, I don't know, the Rothschilds, if they're reptilian or partly reptilian. There's that famous video of President George H.W. Bush, his eyes sort of looking a bit reptilian. Now, was that photoshopped? Is that for real? Who knows?
Who knows? I've seen a photo of me in London where I totally had a weird freaking serpent eye. And my son, I was looking at my son, and we were both like, what in the heck? But when I was younger, I had these reoccurring dreams that my family, not my parents, but grandparents, who were more connected, were PO'd at me because I was supposed to have been part of their thing. And that's why they were going to create a hybrid, so they could control me through this hybrid child that I birthed. And but I refused to ever bow down to them and succumb to their beliefs and the restraint and the unfairness that they were casting upon the rest of society. And that's why I've been a target, is because I was born into a family to do something that I refused to do.
Wow, but I wonder if they still kind of protect you because you're part of that family, part of that bloodline. I know as few people personally have seen eyes shift. We did a video in December with Al Matthews. I've known him since 2009. And a woman mounted him sexually, jumped on his lap, and her eyes shifted to reptilian when he pushed her away, like, he was pushing away her advances. And he witnessed that. And I've known another woman, Jerry Westfall in North Carolina. I did a video with her about this. She's seen 6 cases of people's eyes shifting to reptilian. These are people I know personally and trust and know pretty well. So people see these things. It was David Icke's book, The Greatest Secret, I think in 1999. He brought this to light in many cases. He's known for that, although it's been known prior to Icke. So, I mean, I totally believe it's a real phenomenon. Richard Dolan's book, Alien Agendas, I just did a video on this with us a month ago. He has a case in 1964 in San Diego. About a dozen Marines were taken out to see a flying saucer, and these reptilians came out with their commanding officer and faced them. So they were working together with the shoulder to shoulder with the U.S. military in 1964. So there's other cases, like my own personal belief is that the Rothschilds at the top work with reptilians, and it's through our military systems, and it's embedded in our systems probably since at least the 60s or 50s. That's my belief. Just I've been researching this for 3,000 hours since 2006.
Yeah, I mean, I've made peace with dying, so I'd rather spread the truth while I'm here. I've had some strange things that made me fearful, and I'm not fearful now. I'm just over it. I'm tired of the facade, and I'd rather say what I've experienced. And if they want to freaking get rid of me, I don't give a shit, because something better is waiting on me beyond this.
Well, we appreciate the risk speaking out. Some of us take risks. I think Mimi has. I have. Anne-Marie, do you want to say something?
I'm sorry, I have to go. My dog has a problem. He's 17.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, nice to have a proper goodbye.
Bye,
Jeff had to leave, so thanks for joining us,
Good to see you.
Marie.
Yes,
See you in a couple
Okay.
weeks.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, the energy shifted in here greatly until I had to take it back. it got freaky in here, sweaty palms and sweat stains, all that from when I started talking. And I don't know if this works or not, but I know my intention and belief that I can control my environment works, and that this is a permission slip or whatever, but
Yeah.
it got really freaking weird in here for a minute after I said all that aloud, and it's pretty much back to normal again.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting.
So,
After 4.5 hours, people open up more and share more. Is that pot you smoking?
No, it's
Greer,
sage.
Oh, sage. Okay. Just for the audience, it's just sage. Don't think. Yeah, yeah.
Greer, I missed what you said. Did you say you come from an Illuminati family?
No, I mean, they
okay.
may be, but they were definitely invited to some parties. I doubt but I was put in the Rainbow Girls as a child, where we were all dressed up in freaking nasty nightgowns at 12 years old, and had to do
Wow.
these weird ceremonies, and it's been a weird trip. And my 92-year-old Bible thumping grandmother actually beat the hell out of me physically Christmas before last, because I refused her take about Christianity. I was like, you're the meanest, most judgy, controlling person I know. And if Christianity is right and you're the one teaching it, I would prefer to go to the party and burn in hell, because I don't subscribe to anything that you represent. And she literally physically kicked my butt out the door.
What religion is she part of? Which Christian denomination?
Baptist.
Adventist?
Baptist.
Oh, Baptist. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh no. And I mean, that's all an old silly topic to me anymore. How can it, my son and I have smoked weed together and had this conversation that it's all backwards, and that the biblical version of control and judgment and hell and all this is actually the opposite of what we're supposed to believe. We're supposed to just know we're connected, and we don't need a savior or a middleman. We are already that incredible spark, and all this other is just a bunch of nonsense that separates us from that spark.
So Greer, I'm interested in what kind of gowns you wore when you were 12. Was it something sexual, and was there pedophilia involved with these groups, do you think?
I wasn't in it. I wasn't in it that long. I kept following my gut, and I was the hellraiser that would knock the candlesticks over and tell them, fuck you, I'm not doing this, excuse my language, but that was me, always has been. It was just evening gowns, evening gowns. Little 12-year-olds dressing up like we are going to our senior prom. And it was incredible ceremonial, which is, it's Freemason, and then the women are the something of moon, and then the young girls are the Rainbow Girls. So it was a precursor.
Yeah, a lot of them, I think, it brought it to something like MK Ultra, mind control. You're part of the club. They want you conditioned at a young age, part of the club. Looks like you broke free from that. But had people stayed in the club, they probably would be somehow mind manipulated. So they're part of the big elites like the Bushes, and go along and not talk, right? Not turn against the club. So there's probably some mental control MK Ultra. I'm just surmising that.
Well, my best friend at the time, it was she and I and one other girl that were always going to the meetings, and her father was a Freemason, and he forced her to have an abortion at 6.5 months, where the baby could have already survived on its own. They had to take her to a private clinic somewhere because it was illegal to do. And I 100% believe he used that child as his sacrifice to level up.
Holy.
Ew.
Yeah, that sounds consistent and logical and rational. I did 10 hours of videos with Bruce McDonald, co-author with Robert Riggin of the book Light of Darkness, and he describes it as an economic energy exchange with reptilians, with aliens. He said it's not Satan, that's his view, it's not actually some satanic, demonic spirit, it's actually aliens, types of aliens, probably reptilians, And it's just an economic exchange. You give them the babies, the blood, whatever. They give you earthly power. And you're saying pedophilia is not entirely about sex. It's not about sex. It's, again, the adrenochrome, the energy with kids, whatever it is. And it's not particularly about sex. It's about this economic exchange.
So while I'm trying to focus on my new reality, none of that crap exists in it.
So how old was your friend when she was pregnant and that had to have that abortion?
High school.
High school, like they're around 15 or?
I think she was 17, almost 18. It was her senior year.
So she was probably raped and then they forced her.
No, she married the guy and she's
She
had
did.
3 other kids with him since then.
Yeah.
Wow. Tell us some more stories, Greer. This is your episode. We don't have the book of time for you. We can, but this is it right now. Tell us more. Why don't you start from 0? When you're born, childhood experiences. Do you want to tell the audience how old you are, or do you want to avoid that?
I don't care. I'll be 51 next month. I did closet channelings as a child. I thought everybody did. I had no idea it wasn't normal until I tried talking about it to a few different people and nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. But the universe about once a year would send me people, whether in, playing a game of volleyball or just passing at camping. There would always be some sort of a meeting with other like minds to confirm that I was not alone and that I was in fact experiencing what I experienced. But it was never anyone in my immediate circle. I tried to shut it down. And when I was about 12 or 13, I had a blast of a vision of the ebb and flow of the universe, and that if we didn't get maybe what happened in 2012, I don't know. I don't have another reference point aside from that fork in the road. That if we didn't get it together, that we were returning to source and all recycling and starting over again because we had gone off to, it's not that we didn't experience it on purpose, but we have spun out and have been spinning our wheels for a couple of millennia. And this was just supposed to be a brief experience, not this long. And I saw the light, I saw everything that existed, life, and then it was like the breath, the ebb and flow. We all went back, the reset. That was pretty freaky for a preteen to deal with, because with that vision, I got a download of the ascension and realized my closet channelings as a child, I was speaking with a collective about how humanity is to ascend in various ways to approach societies, because there are multiple governments and cultures that we're dealing with, to nudge them in their direction without infiltrating their free will. And I didn't know a lot of these terminologies as a child, but looking back on it, that's exactly what we were talking about. And I would lose hours at a time in there. Shut all that off, because you are not popular and bullies will attack you. I learned how to fist fight and make jokes and put people in their place to protect myself. And it kept coming out in my poetry. I couldn't shut it off. By the time I was 20, I had years of dreams where I was traveling in a Merkaba. I call it a Merkaba because I don't know what else it could have been. I was in an orb. And I remember faces. I've met people in person in this reality, in this waking state, that I saw in my dream state traveling around in the orb. That quit for some reason by the time I was 30. In 1998, I drew a depiction of the proverbial gray Zeta Reticulan alien in the sphere, and finally remembered what came out in my QHHT session, that we came here from all over to coexist, and that you can look among the species who differ, and if you look into the sphere, you'll remember, and it's the sphere of origins. And I thought it was just some
what
cool
does QHHT mean?
quantum healing hypnosis technology.
Okay.
So I was hypnotized.
This is an amazing story, and keep going. Wow, keep going.
Okay, right after that, my children were involved in this, and I was in school. It was the middle of the night. I'm doing homework. I felt something sweep by me. Got the shivers, sat back up in my chair. And right about the time I had gotten it shaken off, my daughter in another room asleep started screaming, "It has my foot." And so we ran to one another, and she and her brother had bunk beds, and he was a little bitty thing, 6 years younger than her, asleep on the bottom, and she was on the top. And she and I were holding each other, and I didn't want to tell her that I had just felt whatever it was that grabbed her foot go by, or at least whoever was working with them or with them. And I didn't want to freak her out even more. But at the same time, she and I turned and told my son to go back to bed, that everything was okay. We both saw a little short 2-year-old version of my son in the kitchen, and turned around and realized he was still in bed snoring, and it was not him, but it was wearing him. Oh,
Wow. So when you say wearing him, this is just a being.
it was
posing as
cloaked. It was cloaked to look like my little boy.
Wow, that's amazing.
Just like the weird Eyes Wide Shut situation,
Yeah.
where it was cloaked to look like my boyfriend, but I 100% knew it wasn't.
There's other cases of this, right? So you're adding corroboration, confirmation, other people having similar experiences.
I've heard a little bit. I'm just telling you what I've experienced, but I have heard other very similar stories. Not very many, though, honestly.
Greer,
Yeah.
we like to get all our members to talk about their stuff, do a presentation or an interview. Could we do that with you?
Yeah.
So we'll advertise it and everything. You can send us a little bio of what you do and everything, and then we could do that, because your story is incredible, and you're a contactee. You know, the sphere of origins thing is pretty interesting. You know, I'm completely interested in that. And the fact that you were talking to groups of beings like the Council of 9 or Council of 7, or who knows who it is, right? Or unless it was the Federation. I'm very interested to find out if you know who these guys were, right?
I never labeled them anything. I just knew there were several consciousnesses with me, and we would all discuss how the next step, how to change, how to evolve. So I don't know if it was 9 or 12, but I know that they were very different individual consciousnesses.
Wow. Yeah, well, would you like to do that? Would you like to come on the show at some point?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very
3
good.
weeks? 3 weeks from now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so Marie would be next, and then you.
I think that'll be my birthday.
Oh, wow, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Awesome meeting. I'm really, really happy for our guest, what he started here with us and everything. It's been a really great day.
Yeah, it's been a really good day. It's one of the very best, I think, Mimi. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good when there's
Nice.
difference in the views that gets people going, and it makes them think a bit sharper, and it really,
Yes.
and people told me they learn from the tensions and differences of views. They learn from that.
Yeah.
It's useful.
Well, high five to everybody.
Hey, Mimi, quiet.
Hey, Ian, we're
So you were
waiting for
there
you to speak,
hiding the
Ian.
whole time.
5 hours,
Mimi.
Ian. Where have you been?
He's been hiding.
I've got a couple of direct messages from him. That's it.
Well, I saw him on chat.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, since I'm going to be talking about myself in a few weeks, I'll stop talking about myself here.
Sure.
by the way, I'm surprised as to how young you look.
7th.
Like very
So
young.
that's
Me?
Yeah. I just saw an alien behind Mimi.
March.
Did you? And I think that's her family member.
That's my
Oh,
son.
What about Ian? Are you there, Ian?
Yeah, I am. I'm on a poor connection, so it's a bit stuttery. But anyway, I heard all the show. It was very good. I was
It'd be nice to
in
get
the
your
chat.
comments. You want to do your summary? I mean, you always have such wise words, Ian. You should give us your input
I'll
right now.
stay for Ian's summary.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to give a summary now. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. I've been busy with other things, and I've been talking with Linda, sorting something else out with another experiencer that I'm talking with here. But I was here for Michael's presentation, and I heard all the comments, and it was great to hear all the input from Greer as well, and all the others. So thank you.
Right, really interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing, Greer.
Yeah, absolutely. A pleasure.
It's the magic of meetup. You just never know who's going to pop up, and more experiencers are going to find out about us. Like Ian said, we're a higher standard of discourse for the whole UFO community in the English language.
Well, you know, I think it would be really great if we really could do what our about says, that we want to hear everyone's story. I would love that, because we're just getting so many members and there's so many stories, you know, and if we just keep telling each other, we'll find out what the real numbers are
Yeah.
of abductees and contactees and everything. Because
And the more people and stories we hear, the more permission we give ourselves to come forward or even trigger suppressed memories.